Welcome to Keep Trucking Personal, where we invite you to explore the heart and soul of our company, Kivi Brothers Trucking. Through engaging storytelling, insightful market updates, and vibrant energy, our podcast reflects our culture, values, and achievements. Whether you're a team member or industry enthusiast, join us to build connections, foster growth, and inspire excellence. Discover why we're more than just a company. We're a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those aspiring to be part of something extraordinary. The pre-trip is complete and engines ready. We're set to hit the road on the Keep Trucking Personal podcast. Let's go.
Welcome back to Keep Trucking Personal. My name is Tyler Kivi, and I am your host. This is episode 2 with Kaitlyn Kivi, my wife, who I think is top-notch when it comes to booking freight, planning freight, taking care of anything in trucking. She's shaking her head at me right now, but I'm going to get all these compliments out before we get going. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
So before we dive into all the tips and tricks to set any driver up for success, doesn't have to just be our driver, we're going to go through a couple this or that. Rapid fire, you tell me this or that. So phone call or text message. Of course, we deal with phone calls for drivers, but phone call or text message if you're in your...
I don't like rapid fire. This is hard. It depends on what we're talking about.
Yeah, she didn't know I was going to do this, so she's sticker shocked right now. Okay, go. Just give me what you prefer.
Phone call.
Phone call it is. Early morning dispatch or late night call?
Early morning.
Paperwork or planning loads?
Planning loads.
I know the answer to this one, but I'll ask coffee or water?
Water.
Some people really prefer coffee. I like warm drinks.
Energy drinks.
Energy drink. Yeah, that's trucking in a nutshell. A quick energy drink or smelling salts, right?
No.
She's not into that. Drivers who give a lot of detail or drivers who keep it short?
All the details.
As much information as possible?
All of it.
How about how that delivery is given? Concise, like summarized info, or do you like really detailed, like dive into the weeds?
No, I'm a bullet point girl. So if you can give me all the details, shoot me a text in the morning, let me know anything that I need to know. And that way, when it comes up, I have everything in front of me. If I don't use it, then I don't use it. But if it comes up, then it's great to have.
Celebrating big wins or solving tough problems?
Gosh, both. I love a good problem. People make fun of me for it, but it's just fun to get your brain working pretty good. But I like celebrating all the good wins too, all the feel good stuff. Trucking's hard day in and day out. So when there's a win, we like to make a big deal about it.
Yeah. I feel you on the sometimes when you get a challenge and they can take a lot of time or they can go really quick, sometimes just a different perspective, but those are fun when you get an interesting one. And then for a customer, right? You bring it to the customer level and they're like, I don't know how this is going to get done. And then you get it done. And
those are the feel good. I like the ones where people come and they say, I've got this huge problem and it takes about 30 seconds to fix because all you needed was fresh eyes. And then you get to kind of tease somebody for the next half an hour about it.
Summer busy season or winter challenges?
Summer 100 times over.
So winter has its challenges, that's for sure. But I think sometimes when it's busy, it's like, you're like, where are the relief drivers when you need them? Because there's so much going on and you're trying to figure out how to combat that. Face-to-face or phone conversation?
Face-to-face.
Face-to-face. Give it to me. I want to look you in the eyes.
Yeah.
You're going to have to deliver this news.
There's a lot that you can't learn or tell from a person on a phone call. Body language makes a difference. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, did that get you shook up a little bit, not letting plan for those?
Yeah, we're here.
We talk a lot about trust and, how you set drivers up for success and how to get those big checks and some of the, more of the stories and kind of the wins and how you got there last week. And, a lot of the, there's a lot of people that are on the other side that aren't drivers, right? That are data driven, and you're kind of on the maybe more personal side, and you get to build that relationship and foster that and help drivers, be treated right and feel like they're part of the team. And, as we said, that's a two-way street. And when that street doesn't have any roadblocks, people see success, drivers do well, You do well, you know, mentally, right? It feels good when the drivers are positive. And when everybody's positive and there's a good energy flowing, things go well. Well, the hard part about some of that is getting to that point. Getting to the point where trust is established, paychecks are big, the street has no roadblocks, and everybody's communicating well. That the trust is probably to get to that. So what tips or advice would you have for someone to get to a high level of trust in trucking? This could be from office to driver and driver to office too. So to build trust right out the gate, you have a new driver that just started here, or this driver's starting at any company. Now, I know not all companies communicate like we do, but let's just focus here. You're starting here. What would help build trust right away? First 3 loads. What is that driver? What should they do?
I mean, we're just rolling back to where we started, the communication. I hate being a broken record here, but it's everything. If, things happen, especially in trucking, there's always stuff that we're not going to be able to see coming, things that we don't expect. But if you can give us a heads up, if you can tell me what the issue is, if something doesn't look right, you have to trust your gut and give me the heads up so that I can start working on it on my side and find a fix quickly. Because, the worst thing that you can lose in trucking right now is time.
Mm-hmm.
If it takes you 2 or 3 hours while you're on site trying to figure it out on your own, while I appreciate the problem solving, clue me in, let me know what's going on so that I can start getting things rolling on this side of things.
Yeah.
That's going to make me trust you and say, hey, there's some obviously the good communication, but also there's some good intuition here that I need some help. I'm gonna respect you so much more every single time if you know when to ask for help than just trying to do it on your own. There's a reason we're a team. There's a reason we're here. Let's work together.
So bringing it down to just practical look, you're a new driver, you get put on your first load, just got loaded, even though everything is going well, give you a call and kind of update you with the situation. Hey, I'm loaded. Everything's looking good. My ETA is still holding. That's a way to build that trust, right? Communicate well, whether it's going well or it's not, but communicate often and well of what the situation is right at hand. And I think to kind of piggyback on some of the stuff you're saying, it's when you think of a new driver at any company, no matter how many manuals you give or how many, let's just even say like description, SOP, whatever, that nobody follows that, right? In the moment's the moment. And it's kind of unique because as a new driver, before they get past some time hurdles, right? We often see after hours calls with those drivers because they're kind of like, I don't know what to do. Do I trust is there enough trust here where I know I'm loaded with the right stuff, I'm good to go? Or do I need to call in and give extra information? Or hey, there's a little, I'm not sure on this. And you see a lot more of those after hours calls until they get that 30, 60, 90 days with a company. Then it's almost like, I know what I'm doing. They've given me the information. They trust me. I trust them. We're good to go. And that trust really builds up. But I think it's unique in the beginning. And you can kind of imagine yourself in those shoes, right? Like, I'm here, I'm new. I don't know who to call, right? Even though, like I said, you might teach it in orientation, there's still so much in the moment that you deal with.
For sure. And that's relationship building too. You're not just talking about just pure communication because I want updates. Like having those conversations early on, you get to know each other a little bit, and that is really helpful for establishing trust too.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get new drivers, we know that it comes with a few extra things that we might not have to do with our more experienced or our veteran drivers. And some of that is the extra communication. Sometimes it is the after hours phone calls. And that doesn't bug me. I want to be in the loop. The more that I know, the more that I can help you and the more we can be prepared for the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So am I always available after hours? No. We've got 4 kids and 3 soccer teams and all of the things. But if I am available, if I have the time, I'll call you back. I'll figure out a way to help you.
Yeah.
So, and it's the relationship building. I want you to trust that I'll be there for you when you need the extra help.
And I think
too.
it probably is also a confidence builder. They're nervous. I've never maybe hauled this type of commodity. I just want to talk to somebody to kind of give me the nod.
Right. Just
You're doing the right
reassurance.
thing. And so that's like the story of trust, right? You build through it. And communication is the foundation of it. It's the roots of the whole process. Now, I know I brought that one up and you have several notes. What are some of the tips that you want to kind of unpack to just keep setting drivers up for success?
I mean, outside of communication, you're going to be successful when you plan a way to do that, right? So planning and time management, they're huge. Sometimes I think they get overlooked. Drivers maybe sometimes expect the office staff to do the planning for them, and we're more than happy to help, but you're on the road, you're the one running into traffic or delays. I mean, can you be successful without planning? Maybe. I mean, I've seen it happen before. It's possible, but a lot of times that's just lucky, and eventually that luck is going to run out. So,
When you say planning, are you mean more dig into that, right? So is that deeper than just punch the address in your GPS and go? Or is that meaning like you're mapping out day by day of what you're expecting? You're kind of holding yourself accountable of what, hey, let's just use a 1,800-mile trip. That's a good 3-day trip. Are you mapping out 600 miles here, 600 miles here, and 600 miles here, and that's how you're getting your expectation versus just set it and forget it, and you just roll until maybe you see a truck stop and then you park, and that's how, those are the things I think that creep up on drivers to where, oh, I can do we interview every driver when they start and talk about that. I can do 600 miles a day. That's what I do. That's who I am. That's what drivers kind of beat their chest with, right? You hear it all the time. You don't have to be in the industry very long to know that's kind of like once you're around that number, you're peaking out, like you can't do more than that unless you're running 90 miles an hour, which isn't realistic. But then they get in the truck and you see that flounder down to the 200s and the 300s kind of right out the gate sometimes. And, we're going like, you're here to make money. You have to move the truck to make money, but yet you're doing a 250, 300-mile day when maybe you're not even loading or unloading that day. You just killed the whole day. And you said it earlier, time is something that is like your biggest currency in trucking right now. You can't get it back once it's spent. And that's how you make money, is utilize your time.
another low-hanging fruit is just professionalism on the road. Drivers have it rough out there. I talk to them every day, and there are bad things that happen, and people aren't great. I don't have any excuses for any of that, and it's a bummer that it's still like that with the prejudices against truck drivers and people in this type of profession. But what we can't do is feed into it. So you have to show up, you have to be professional, you have to kill them with kindness, and you have to let your work speak for itself. I think a lot of times truck drivers have a hard time, and I'm not just talking about like shippers and receivers. Like usually we're pretty lucky to have those good relationships. We work with a lot of the same customers, a lot of the same shippers and receivers, and there's a good mutual respect there. But even, truck stops, I'm hearing all the time that drivers are being treated poorly by, you know, everybody out there. So it's really easy to kind of let that control you and, I guess, act how you're expected to act. And I feel super lucky that our fleet usually exudes something different. There's a lot of professionalism here. We refer to our drivers as professional drivers because that's what they are. And I feel like they're really great about living up to that standard. They show up and they do the job. And for the most part, we don't have very many issues surrounding that.
Being a professional.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, we get a lot of compliments. There was an email that came out just a few days ago. There was a project that we did, and the customer, I believe it was the shipper, complimented every single driver that went through there and said, they all acted with professionalism and did a great job, and they were so happy with the service. And those are the best.
I know that job you're talking about, and that was a crane move, which crane moves are already sensitive. Like when I think of a crane move, my safety awareness goes right up because you have crane booms, and the fear of a crane boom is somehow somebody doesn't know that you can't put a chain on a crane boom, right? That's like fear 101. I'm like 7 crane loads plus a main crane. Like, we're here to do it right. Make sure nobody has a lapse in judgment and puts a chain somewhere they're not supposed to. But then again, on a job site too, this is right on the main interstate that it loaded. So it's kind of a unique circumstance for loading, to do all of that, to come through that, make sure everything's secured right, and execute. Yeah, that's a huge win.
Yeah, those jobs are fun for everyone. I mean, the one-offs, of course, are important. We do our best to take good care of our customers, but when we get big projects like that, it's just camaraderie that we don't always get to be involved in. And that's not just the drivers. Like, in the office, people get excited about it when things are fast paced and there's a lot of details. There are a lot of people behind the scenes putting that together, and it's really cool to see it come together. But I think the drivers really love it too, to have other people from the same company together, and they get to talk to each other a little bit more than they usually do. And
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of the old school. It feels like a convoy in
yeah,
a sense. You're working with a larger group, and you get to show your skill set.
yeah, for sure. You're making some friends along the way, but also you kind of get to show off, you know, your experience and your knowledge. And it's cool to see guys come together and help each other out too. Some people might not be as experienced hauling something like a crane. So you hope that your other
Yeah.
drivers that are there are the ones that are going to
It's
say,
like
hey, you can't put a chain on
your
that.
brother and sisters are on the road.
For sure.
You have to look out for each other. And I can't remember if this was on a podcast episode or we were talking somewhere else. But if you haven't had the experience to drive to Alaska in a truck, there's a different level of respect for drivers up there. If you are a driver or in a truck and your four ways are on, you're pulled over, if you pass that truck, like it's hell's gonna rain down on you. Like you are gonna be looked down on in Alaska. Like you pull over and you make sure, is there anything that I can do to help? Sometimes it's a fuse, a hammer. What do you need that I have that I can help you? And it's the same the other way. And we've had drivers, we've had some crazy things happen in Alaska. Their windshields, we've had driver's side door windows blow out and just unique things. And it can be either really nice temperature and beautiful Alaska, or it can be really cold and harsh. And in those circumstances, you do not want to be left alone. Somebody goes tooling by you and you're like, I'm out here by myself. So professionalism, respecting your other drivers. I like to think, to piggyback on what you said, it only takes one person to set the bar high. You do not have to follow suit of what you see in the truck stop every day, what you get treated like. You can show up and kill them with kindness and have professionalism and set the bar. And if one person does it and they see you do it, you can inspire someone else to do it. But if you do it and maintain that, the way you talk to people, we've all been fired up. Now, I still remember, it was clear this day when I had a double drop and Derek, Dad, had planned me on this crazy load in Chattanooga. I got there to load it. It took me 6 hours to load it. I was hotter than a pistol after, because in my mind, in the moment, it should have never been put on a double drop. And I know you've heard these type of conversations from drivers when they're pissed off. Right? This should not have been put on this trailer. This is a Conestoga load, or this is this load. And it's not set up for that trailer, but you get through it and you do it and you make sure that you're successful. And for me, I had that moment, lost my cool, was complaining and doing all the stuff that we'd talk about not doing, right? But I did it. And then I went down the road probably about an hour. And then I literally was like instant regret set in. And I'm like, did I just bash on somebody that's in the office that literally set me up with a home run lane? It was from Chattanooga right back to Duluth. So I'm servicing a customer right in our backwoods, doing everything like to benefit the whole picture. But I lost my cool on them, told them that this should have never been done, blah, blah, blah. I got it done. So I don't even know why it was just, that's the moral of the story is, like, sometimes you need a beat just to cool down. Like, you can't get on that phone and what we could call keyboard warrior and blow up on somebody that's not even there. You got it done. We're professionals. We're all equipped to do this job, or you wouldn't be in Flapped. Like, Flapped is a different animal. And that's why I like to call us the 1%ers. You're out here top of the line, like, wear it on and celebrate it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the number one advice, right? Is if you're in a situation where it's high pressure, take a beat. There's a lot going on. It's so easy to regret what you say later, but usually you're not going to regret what you don't say. And
Yeah. You never
happens.
regret what you don't. Maybe there's a time here and there where you should have stood up or could have stood up to something.
Maybe, but the opportunity is a lot lower than regretting what you do say. And it's more about how you say it too. It happens. And I'm pretty good at this point about not taking it personally. The first few years in the industry, I probably couldn't say that. I know that it's not usually directed at me. And honestly, if I have to be the scapegoat to keep the driver calm and have it not blow up at a customer or a shipper or receiver, fine.
Yeah.
And I've never had that happen where a driver didn't come back, an hour down the road, like, wow, I messed up. I shouldn't have said that. I'm so sorry. And at least there's that awareness. I think the awareness afterward is so important because again, it's a relationship strengthener. Okay, they know it probably wasn't the best way to go about it. We can move forward from here and hopefully learn from it. And then your next hope is, okay, let's not let this happen again, right? Let's be a little bit more situationally aware while we're in the situation and take that beat. So yeah, that's great advice for those high pressure situations for sure. But yeah, I mean, back to what you're saying, everything just comes down to doing the right thing. It shouldn't be a hard choice. I get why people are the way that they are, like you were saying in Alaska. There's not a lot going on, so you have to help each other. But how cool would it be if that was normal for everywhere?
That's what I'm saying. Like you can do it. I mean, don't put yourself like it's a little bit different up there because they might not see another truck for 6 hours, right? So I'm not saying pull over every time you see somebody on the shoulder of the road because it might not be safe to join that. But when you're in situations at shippers and drivers are struggling to tarp, we all know what it's like to tarp. Why can't you help somebody? Why can't you help with advice? Or why can't you give a new driver, be a mentor and give a new driver route planning? Like you said, that's the foundation. We went through communication, route planning, professionalism.
Hmm.
It sounds like you said, almost sounds cliche, and really it's like we're talking about any old job. You execute these things outside of maybe route planning, right? But you execute these things and you will have opportunities come your way. What else?
I mean, I guess one thing that does set us apart from, other industries under other jobs out there is how important safety is. Sometimes I think it can get overlooked because it should just kind of be second nature, but it's really important that we keep that on the forefront. I know that sometimes we talk too much about efficiency, too much about go, go, go. Well, there is a time and a place for that, but you do have to make sure that you stop and fully pay attention when you're doing pre trips, post trips. They're not an option. These are mandatory things that need to be done, not just because the law says that they need to be done, but because the safety of the driver and the safety of everyone around the driver is the most important thing that we're doing all day long.
Mhm.
Yes, we're here to make money. Yes, we're here to run a business. Yes, we're here to make sure that, our drivers can take care of their families without stressing. That's all important. But none of it matters if people's lives are at risk, are in jeopardy. So it's so important that our number one focus is on that safety aspect. So, I mean, it saves everyone outside of that, even it saves time, it saves money. So while we're talking about, the safety of everyone's lives, it is also efficient to do these things. When you can find out if you have a problem with your trailer before you get going, while you're already at a truck stop that has a shop, that's going to save you some time. Let's get it done now before, we're 40 miles down the road and there's nothing around. It's just so important. And the people that are doing those things when they're supposed to be doing them, not only are they the most efficient drivers, not only are they, like we said, doing the right thing, should be an easy choice. I mean, this is low hanging fruit. This is stuff that, no one should have to convince you to be safe.
Right.
So it's really a no brainer. I mean,
Those phone calls regarding, I mean, we kind of hang our hat a lot on the motive safety score, right? It's a lot of
mhm.
data points that assemble a score, and that score, honestly, there's not, there has not been a situation where somebody's, I'm the best driver XYZ, and this is wrong. Now it does have mistakes, and we correct those, like in improper like speeding or something, right? Well, we can move that and get rid of it. But when that person is, I'm doing everything right, nothing wrong, their scores does not match who I am, I haven't had that yet, right? Usually the score is right there, matches what that driver does and says they're going to do. And like you said, safety, you can look at that and be like, oh, it's wrong. It's beeping at me every time I'm going down the road. Well, remember, the people we're talking about are not fake. We are not making this up. It doesn't do us any good to tell these fake, testimonials, in a sense that we just are gathering ourselves from the drivers to paint a pretty picture. No, these drivers are producing scores of 100 they're setting the top when it comes to miles per, our safe incentive is a 4-week period. They're setting the bar for top miles there, and they're mentoring drivers to essentially share what knowledge they have and how they do it. And they're not calling you or I, this machine is junk. It's lying to me. It's treating me like I'm a new driver. I've been here, like the machine doesn't, not biased, doesn't look at you whether you're new or veteran. It looks at, are you being safe or not? And it's as simple as that. So if you're in the low 80s and you're going, I'd like to become a heavy haul driver, or I'd like to make more money, those indicators, once again, we talk about roots, that's part of the foundation. How safe are you operating the truck? Because it might not happen when you're going down the road, but usually if you're that laid back when it comes to your safety score, something will slip. Some sort of securement issue will start to show up. Some sort of backing in a truck stop issue will show up. We've talked about it before. It's not just because you backed into somebody. It's because you chose a spot that was maybe a little bit more careless than where you should park. And I mean that, like, I've been around a lot of drivers that have old school trucks, old school setups. You won't catch them parking in certain spots in truck stops because they know what happens. People hit you, people back into you. They are selective, and they're really selective. They're pre-planning where they're going to park. They're protecting their asset at all costs.
Well, I feel like those safety scores are more than just safety too, right? There's a difference between correlation and causation. I'm not saying that because your safety scores are low, you also don't trip plan.
Yep.
One didn't cause the other, but there is a correlation between the two. There are traits of a good, strong, high-performing truck driver, and there are traits of truck drivers that have room for improvement. And usually these things coexist together. So if your safety score is high, I can almost guarantee you that your truck is clean. You take good care of your equipment. I can almost guarantee you that you trip plan, you know where you're probably going to park that night and what time you're going to pick up the next morning.
Yeah.
These are things that just exist together.
What I really like what you just said is a lot. We talked about it on the previous episode, is you do not have to be a truck driver to set truck drivers up for success.
Mm-hmm.
That stigma, throw it out the door. Yes, there's things that you won't know about nuances, but that's okay. That's okay. You're there to set them up for success to the best of your ability, and you learn a lot. But what you just kind of listed in a short little brief is like an old school trucker. You talk the talk of an old school trucker, and you've never even driven truck over the road. Like, you see the values in what trucking can be and what it has been and what many still are operating as, but there's still that room for many drivers to grab onto this. And I know I keep calling it old school and bringing that old school back, and it could even be looked at as the new school, but we've changed just our accountability, and it's not even that long ago. And I remember when I was in our shop, you did not have drivers throw the towel in over a bad load.
Mm-hmm.
You did not have drivers say, this X happened to me and I got to the port and I didn't have my paperwork and it's a whole bunch of jambalaya and I'm done. It just didn't happen. There was legitimate respect back and forth. You worked hard to make sure that they met their goals. They worked hard to make sure that the goals are met for the truck. It's because it's mutual. And it was just such a partnership. And now it seems like that partnership is very fragile.
There's definitely less commitment than it seems like there was. And just to be clear, there's a lot of old school trucking that should stay in old school trucking.
Yeah.
There are great things that we can pull back and we can kind of focus on. There's also some stuff that should be left behind and we do need to move forward from. So I don't want to promote like all of this, I
don't mean cowboy trucking. I just mean like the values of,
it's just commitment. Like
some of the things that you watched on movies when drivers were going through towns and kids were pumping their elbows saying, give me the horn, and you blew the horn. CBs, they were treated as you talked to other drivers going down the road and it was fun. You could pick up a conversation with anybody going on the road and you could banter back and forth, and that's how you pass time. Now it's so much like you have your CB off because you have people that have connected replay, I don't even know what you want to call it, and repeaters, whatever, and it's advertisement and it's this and it's garbage of people swearing and there's no value. And you can't even say, hey, what's going on up ahead of you, or watch out, there's a bear in the center media. Like, you just
there's definitely some changes.
But yeah, you're right. Like, I'm not talking about cowboy and trying to throw it down 1,600 miles there next day. Like, it's stuff just that stuff just gasses you out. It's not.
I mean, I think the big thing is at the end of the day, we can say all these things. And they're true. Communication, huge. Relationship building, huge. Planning and time management, professionalism, safety, everything is great. But what it comes down to is, do you want to work hard and do well at this job, or do you not want to?
No.
Because if you do, there's so many people here. And I'm not even just talking about Kiwi Brothers. I believe fully that this industry is still strong. It has the potential to be. And there are people that want it to be. And those are the people that are going to be there for you to help build you up, help you learn. We have such a good mentor program, and I'm so proud of our mentors. And it's not just that they are dedicating their time to other drivers that are coming in, but also, the best way to learn is to teach. So I feel like the mentor program isn't just a benefit for the mentees, but I think it keeps the mentors on their toes too. It reminds them, people are looking up to you, people are learning from you. It's important that you are doing the right thing day in and day out. And they all are such hard workers. Like you're saying, little things like I didn't have my paperwork at the port, things like that, where you just want to throw the towel in. These guys are, and these women are not the ones that are doing that. They're figuring out how to problem solve. They're working with their team to find a solution quickly, and they're continuing on with their day to work hard. And those are the people that are successful.
Yep.
We can help build you up and help educate you and help turn you into a great truck driver if that is what you want to commit to.
Yep.
But if you don't want to put the work in and you don't want to be there day in and day out, that's where the problems happen. That's where the safety scores drop. That's where, 200-300 miles a day comes in. So it really just comes down to, do you want to be here or not?
Yeah. Well, and it is unique because, safety scores and MPG, and there's a lot of indicators of when someone is dissatisfied with where they work, right? And like I was saying, however that became or however they got there, it's just odd because yes, maybe if you're over it, doesn't matter what company you're at, you shouldn't let your safety be compromised, right? That should be something you deliver high standards on, whether you're
no matter what.
Or no matter what it is. And so, looking at it as that perspective, as anyone out there driving, like you want to deliver that level of every time. That's how you're going to go places. You're going to make it is to the top of the mountain if you just make sure that you have some baselines. You don't let
that's integrity, right?
Yeah,
Again, you have it or not.
You don't let those slip and you maintain it. So what about, we talk about the communication side, we talk about professionalism and being a high standard, safety, these are probably printed on everybody's website. What about like simple as paperwork? What do you see when it comes to full circle, right? Like once the load's delivered, its job is not done yet, because even if it's not for us for billing sakes, it's the customer has to bill their customer across whatever country or domestic, wherever it is, but they're going, I can't bill my customer until I get your paperwork. And now with such a tight market, everybody wants everything to happen ASAP. And we've given you the tools to do that through Vector or really email, whatever. We've given you the tools, you have the tools to do it. But what correlations do you see when it comes to just being like a full on executing top down?
It's the same thing again with the planning. If I have a load in front of me, here's the shipper, here's the receiver, and here's the paperwork. It's not an additional thing. It's part of it.
Yep.
I don't get to check that box. I don't get to take it off my list until it's fully complete. And it's not fully complete until that paperwork's turned in.
Yep.
And I'm totally aware of the fact that maybe if you're driving, that's not part of your job, right? To do the billing and everything. So you don't understand who's waiting for that paperwork when. But yeah, there's an obligation from us at most places, most customers, they want their paperwork within 24 hours. And we work really hard to make sure that we deliver.
Well, it's expectation on some customers and their portals and how you do it. Mm-hmm. And that's right. Like we don't want to burden you with extra. We don't want to put more on your shoulders. There's just what you have. And what I think and what you see typically is new driver, maybe a technology issue, right? It's not synced up, some sort of blip in the system. But when it comes to a driver that's been here a while and it's still a recurring issue, it's habits or care, right? Do they care enough to make sure that it helps your job? Because if you're chasing paperwork, you're not helping find another load for them. Or habits, right? How are they not layering in a process? Hey, I delivered, my bills are signed, I'm going to get in my seat and I'm going to do it now. I'm going to take the 15 seconds and do it now versus in 3 days, somebody's calling you going, can you send your paperwork in? You can't, and you won't get paid until you have your paperwork. Now we sound like it's a threat, right? Versus let's work together and accomplish the full circle mission. Let's leave the truck leaves terminal clean and everything's good, and you come back safe and clean and everything's good. It's not, it's kind of like finish the job full circle.
Right. I don't ever want to feel like I'm reprimanding anybody. Like, again, this is a team. We're a partnership. I don't want to feel like.
Well, I can assure you, nobody wants to gun you down and give me your paperwork.
No one wants to chase after it, and also no one wants to be chased after. So it's definitely about habits. Again, your top performers, they're scanning the paperwork before they leave the receiver.
Yep.
There's some people that do it at the end of the day before they shut down, and that's fine too. What we don't want is, harboring that paperwork until Monday at 11:30 p.m., half an hour before the cutoff is.
Yeah.
We're trying to build a lot faster than that. We're trying to make sure that your payroll is correct. That
systems work when they're
utilized.
They're all like you said, a check. The system is a check and balance, and paperwork missing that check, which means the balance isn't there. And then when you're trying to get your settlement sheet to verify everything's accurate, it's not there. And then you call in and it looks like, hey, you missed something on my pay. Well, we're not trying to hold any punches here. We just want it to work. And so, being disciplined on that, like maybe I have my paperwork in this folder, and when I scan it, I put it into this folder. Mm-hmm. So that way you have a simple visual. Hey, I'm done at the end of the day. I've logged out, boom, boom, boom. Oh, there's the bills. Send it in, put it in your other folder that you store until you get to a terminal to turn it in. But you kind of create some sort of habits or disciplines there that set you up for consistency, because I can assure you it's not just here. It's anywhere you are. That's one of the processes you need.
For sure. It's anywhere. And I try not to brag on my team too much during this time that I have. But, I come in every Tuesday and I double check it at 7 a.m. And for at least the last 6 weeks, I've not had one person's name on
that's amazing.
A list. So I'm super proud of them.
We have a lot. Like these are little opportunities to make sure you're in the top echelon, right? And paperwork helps, because people would be surprised how much we meet and conversate about paperwork on the background. So a lot of tips, you've got a lot of advice. You've proven that you and I love to kind of being on this tremolo, but you've proven that you did not have to be in a truck for 24 years to set somebody up for success. You've proven that you can see and value the values that make a difference. You've shown a lot of experience and commitment, similar to what we talk about with the driver. If you want it, you can usually get it at your fingertips because hard work pays off, and you've shown a lot of that. Is there anything, like, maybe kind of flipping it over, is there a rookie mistake, let's call it, that you see someone make and you're like, no, how could you prevent that from happening? Is there one thing that when it comes through, you're like, oh, maybe I've seen this a time or two, and how could I share it with somebody so they don't run into that?
I mean, any assumptions at all, basically. Like, if you do develop a gut feeling, and I guess if you are truly a rookie, you may not have that yet, but if something feels off, like, you have to question it. If you assume anything, if you assume the paperwork's in, if you assume the driver is where they're supposed to be, if you assume that they have the same equipment or the same trailer that they had yesterday, it's going to backfire.
Yeah.
So every single time I would say, especially if you're new, ask the questions. Again, this industry is full of people.
Ask your mentor, ask your driver.
Ask anybody. We're all here to help. Everyone's here to help. I know sometimes as a new person in an office, you don't want to go ask the drivers for any of that information because you want them to have, the faith in you. But I can guarantee those drivers want to make sure you're doing it right. And if you have to ask a question to make sure you're doing it right for them, that's going to show more character and more integrity than anything else.
Yeah.
So just 100 times, I would never assume anything. Always ask the questions, always double check.
If something with your paperwork doesn't line up, don't assume that's how it's supposed to be. Confirm. If something, like you said, with your load, or this doesn't match what you told me on the phone yesterday, confirm versus just assume. That is something that we've definitely had our hands burned a few times, and you go down the line and everybody's like, well, I assumed they knew what to do. I assumed that was how it was supposed to be. I assumed. We're like, how can you get 4 or 5 assumptions and then now a major failure, and everybody just kept assuming? So everyone's guilty, and that's a good reminder for anyone, whatever you're.
Yeah, sure. That's for anybody in the industry or in the company. It could be something as small as a customer didn't get updated, which we can come back from. It could be as big as I didn't double check how tall my load was and I just hit a bridge. Like it could be anything from minor to catastrophic so fast
With a short little assumption.
that it could have been avoided so easily. So always double check.
Well, you shared a lot of wisdom. You've shared so much skill when it comes to building these drivers up. And I know we can laugh at it because we sit here and it's like we get to talk about coaching and trying to set somebody up for success.
Mm-hmm.
And while we stay, you probably keep thinking I'm being cheesy with you, but you've shared a lot. And I think you don't realize how much that you're setting other people up in this industry for success. So thank you for taking the time to share all this insight from top down, inside out. Thank you for, off subject, helping me set up a TikTok. If anyone out there wants to check out the TikTok and what we got going on out there at Tyler Kivi, just take that little jump. I know there's a lot of drivers on TikTok and we show a lot of the fun stuff we do. So thanks, Kaitlyn. Until next time.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Keep Trucking Personal. We appreciate you taking the time to explore the heart and soul of Kivi Brothers Trucking with us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to let us know your thoughts. Tune in next time as we continue our journey together, diving deeper into what makes us a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those who aspire to be part of something truly extraordinary. Until then, keep trucking, and we'll catch you on the next episode.